Good evening. My name is Ed Ruth, and I'm the chairman for tonight's meeting. I'd like to welcome you to the October 27th, 2025 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. We ask all to stand for hand salute and flag salute and moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. This meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, as adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing to the annual schedule of meetings to Union County local source, the Ledger and Star Ledger, and by posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board in Town Hall reserved for such announcements, and a filing of said notices with the Township Clerk of Clark. Formal action may be taken at this meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mark Hayden.
Here.
Douglas Crock.
Here.
William Helm.
Here.
John Calaguire.
Here.
Chris Tierney.
Here.
And Chairman Ed Ruth.
Here. I ask the members to review the minutes of our last meeting, September 16th. And that was for 2 Grouse Lane. And once you have done that, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Bill Helm. Second. John Calaguire. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Madam Secretary, any correspondence for this evening? None? And none, no old business? All right. At this point, I will ask the applicant for calendar case 4-25 to approach the microphone, identify yourself, and be sworn in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Council, members of the board. Attorney Rosemary Stone Dougherty with the law firm of A.Y. Strauss, here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Michael Martinetti, in regards to the application to construct a new single-family dwelling with accessory structure on the property known as 60 Ridge Road, also known as Block 38.02, Lot 12.01. Just to give the board a little bit of a roadmap of the planned presentation, I have with me 3 professionals. We were going to start with our engineer, which is Mr. John Mananello of Mantera. Then we were going to segue into our architect, Mr. Paulo Dantes of Dantes Carrant Architecture. And then lastly, we have a professional planner with us, Alexander Dougherty with DP Planning and Development. If necessary, I did bring the applicant with me as well, Mr. Martinetti, but at this point in time, we weren't planning on calling him unless there becomes a question or issue that might need it. So, Mr. Chair, I don't know if your board prefers to swear all the witnesses at once or you swear them as each one comes up.
Sure, we can swear them all in at once.
Okay. Gentlemen? Yeah, you might as well, just in case.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Okay, so with that being said, I'd like to start with Mr. John Manello.
Before we do that, I just want to verify the proofs of service have been checked by Kelly
Yes.
and are in order. Okay, thank you. Fine, please, proceed.
Before we get started, by way of background, can you tell the board where you received your education?
Sorry, just speaking, if you wouldn't mind stating your name for the record. Sure. Legal name is Giovanni, Giovanni, last name Manilio, Manilio, president with Mantero Design, civil engineer for the project.
Okay, so by way of background, can you tell the board where you received your education?
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Syracuse University. I've been licensed in the state for the past 16 years, testified in front of numerous boards throughout the state. I don't think I've ever testified in front of this board before. Testified in front of Westfield, Union, I don't think of any other local municipalities. Mountainside, Springfield.
And all your licenses
Are-
are still current as of this evening?
Correct.
Excuse me, they're just asking me if you could speak up into the microphone more.
Sure. Never been.
He's having trouble picking you up. Okay.
Not a problem. And all your licenses are current as of this evening?
That is correct.
Okay. If we may, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to have him accepted as an expert in the field of engineering. Thank you. By way of background, can you give the board well, you're bringing up your plans right now, correct?
Yeah, so I have one exhibit for tonight that's new, entitled Martinetti Residence, aerial exhibit with today's date. It's an aerial of just the general vicinity with the property highlighted in yellow.
Okay, and this is new, so this would be Council A1, and it's one page, so we'll just call it aerial exhibit, if that works.
That works.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I had mentioned earlier that the property's 60 Ridge Road, block 38.02, lot 12.01, located in the R150 zone, which is shown here in yellow. It's an irregular shaped lot, so it's an L-shaped with the frontage on Ridge Road, where my cursor is right here. And all the properties in this view are all in the same R150 zone. The property itself is approximately 3/4 of an acre, or 32,093 square feet. It has about 125 feet of frontage along Ridge Road and is approximately 227 feet deep as well. Not shown on this plan, but on the actual site plans, and I'll bring that up real quick. So this is the latest plans.
And just for clarity, this is the same set that the board members have in their packets, correct?
Correct.
There's been no changes or revisions?
There should be none.
Okay, thank you.
So I just want to show, so this is the property as well in black and white. As you can see here, these dashed lines, they represent two sets of easements. There is a storm sewer easement and also Elizabeth water easement, which are both 15 feet. So the easement itself is about 30 feet total for the two. And you can see it bisects the northeast corner of the property and then runs along the rear of the property as well. Back to A1, as you can see, the whole vicinity is generally developed with single-family dwellings. This is an old aerial. It still shows an old dwelling that was on the property, but the dwelling has been demolished since then, and it is a vacant lot.
And this lot is more than double the minimum lot size, correct?
That is correct.
And in your opinion, is it one of the largest, if not the largest lot in the surrounding neighborhood?
Yeah, in this general vicinity, it is definitely the largest lot. Then as far as the proposal, so on the middle of the screen shows the proposal. The dark gray represents the new dwelling. So what's being proposed is a new two-story dwelling with associated improvements.
If this works for you, 'cause he keeps noticing that he can't hear you. Does it work?
Testing? Hello? Can you hear me?
Heard her okay before that, too. I personally did.
So yeah, what's being proposed is a two-story dwelling shown in the dark gray. And with associated improvements, so what we are proposing also is I guess what you call a horseshoe driveway with two entrances on Ridge Road, and then a side load 3-car garage on this side of the building. As far as other improvements in the rear yard, we are proposing a pool with some patios and what's essentially referred to as a pool house, shown here in the dark gray and light gray. But the dark gray where my cursor is pretty much the only portion that's fully enclosed. So that portion consists of a bathroom and a laundry room. The rest of the area is covered outdoor patio area with outdoor grill station and a...
Sorry, keep interrupting, but they can't pick you up for some reason. Try that one.
Hello? I
That's
can hear
better,
it,
right?
yeah.
So there's a covered area with an outdoor grill station and a outdoor sitting area. And as the architect goes through his presentation, you'll see what that looks like and how it's open on the sides. Additionally, on the house, there's a covered portion of a patio in the back with a balcony on the second floor as well. As far as relief that's being requested today, there's 3 variances that we noted. One is for front yard setback, so I'll zoom in a little bit. So the majority of the house is built behind these setbacks. So the way that the setbacks work in the zone, the requirement is 40 feet unless there's an established front yard setback with 2 of the property neighbors to either side. With doing that, there are 2 properties to the west. One of them is, numbers here, 50.3 feet. The other is 49.5 feet. So that average is 49.9 feet, which is what we show as the front yard setback. As you can see, the majority of the house is behind it. There are a small portion that comes in front of it, and then the little entry element as well that comes in front. So at the closest part, it is 48.2 to that entry element, and the closest part to the house is 49.2, where 49.9 is required. I do want to note there is another house, and I'll go back to A1, to the east of us, right here. But per the zoning official, that house does not count because it's a corner lot, and it faces Fairview, even though I would argue that it does have 2 front yards per the ordinance, per the requirement. If that house was part of the calculation, then the requirement for the front yard would be 44.9 feet, and the house that's being proposed would be in conformance. The second variance that we're looking for tonight is what's called maximum lot coverage, which essentially is the coverage of building or roofed areas. What's permitted in the zone is 15%, or approximately 4,814 square feet. What's being proposed as part of this application is 19.3%, which is 6,203 square feet. Of that, again, 717 square feet is this accessory structure, where only 178 square feet of that area is being utilized as fully enclosed. The rest is open canopy. I do also want to note that the site does conform with the maximum floor area ratio. 50% is permitted, and we're well under that at 38.2%. And we do comply with the impervious lot coverage as well. 50% is permitted, and we are...
John, if we could just clarify your testimony there for a minute. I believe you meant to say we are in compliance with the maximum impervious coverage. We're well under at the 38.2, we're 50%, and then we're also under on floor area.
All right, I got those numbers mixed up. Yes, so floor area, we're under, 40% is permitted, we're at 29%. Impervious lot coverage, we're permitted 50%, and we're proposing 38.2%.
So is it fair to say that the accessory structure roof and the rear patio roof are really what's kind of driving the overage on the building coverage, which here in Clark, as you know, they count as lot coverage?
That is correct, yes.
Right. So it's not true building coverage in the sense of habitable indoor space, but because it has the roof cover, it's driving that number?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And lastly, the size of an accessory structure, so 717 square feet is being proposed, where 100 square feet is permitted. Again, only 178 square feet is fully enclosed, and the remaining is open with just a roof above it and a partial wall. Again, that variance technically can be eliminated if we did attach it to the dwelling with some type of breezeway or connection, which would increase the lot coverage by 0.1% or 26 square feet. And I also do want to note that we are proposing landscaping to the west, or to the, I guess we call it the southwest, with arborvitae and lower shrubs on the northwest portion of that pool patio. Really, I think the biggest effect is to the neighbor to the south, which is closest to the proposed pool house. The neighbor to the north is approximately 50 feet to that structure, and the distance to the property line to the east is approximately 100 feet. And that concludes my testimony and is what's being proposed as part of this application. I'll open up to the board or to council if there's any questions or comments.
We are essentially dealing with three issues, and you seem to have addressed the first and second. The setback we're talking about is less than a foot. The maximum coverage permitted, you are exceeding that by a little under 4%. The biggest concern is the size of the pool house, in my estimation.
Yeah, and there'll be further testimony. The architect will show what that looks like and what that entails, and then I believe the planner has some testimony as well.
But just for clarity for the testimony you did indicate is the accessory structure variance could be eliminated if a small breezeway attachment was utilized to attach it to the house because they're only 8 feet apart from one another.
Correct.
However, that would then generate a secondary variance, correct, for the setback for the accessory structure. And can you explain why that wouldn't be able to be moved?
Yeah, so again, we can eliminate the variance for the size of the accessory structure, just given the location of it and the proximity to the main house, by attaching it to the house itself, and that would become part of the principal structure. But if that comes into play, then the side yard setback would have to be 15 feet rather than 10 feet for an accessory structure. The reason that can't be shifted over is given the easement that cuts across the property here. As you can see, really, this portion of the property to the northeast, this triangle and this rectangular portion in the back is really unusable because we can't really go past this easement line.
And then, just for clarity though, if we did have that side yard for the accessory structure, the relief is not needed for the whole portion of the accessory structure neither though, correct, with the L-shaped lot?
Correct.
Right. So it would be roughly about half of the accessory structure would need that relief because the rest you would pick up you would be at over 60 feet, correct? In the rear there if you counted from the side.
Yeah, give or take 60%.
But again, Mr. Chairman, we'll have a lot more testimony as to the makeup of the accessory structure from the architect as well to better explain the design so that the board has a much better visual and understanding of it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the easement. You pointed out the easement. I understand the comments in the past 2 minutes about the easement and how that comes into play if you were to change that. But currently what's on here, does the easement come into play for any of these variances? Is that what's driving the first one where you're 48, you have 48.2 versus 49.9, is that?
It's driving it a little bit, just given the size of, you see these patios and steps. So again, those can encroach in the easement as well, and those patios as well in the back, so they were chopped off where we could, but some of them can't be cut off, just given the egress and the way that the building is laid out. So that is driving it a little bit, that it got pushed back, or pushed forward. But
Thank you.
But if the front was pushed back a foot, you would be eliminating that problem, correct? Which I know will impact the size of the rooms in the main house.
correct, and I think the way this was, if I remember correctly, this is a while, I think this project dates back to 2023 for me. But I think originally, the way it was designed was assuming that the setback would be 40 feet for the front yard, and not the average setback. So the whole house was designed at that point, where it was larger than
Based on an understanding
of the
you had.
setback, and then we thought we could use the corner lot, and then we were told we can't use the corner lot. So that's kind of where that came to play.
But again, you show on the plans where the actual prevailing setback is, and we're talking a very de minimis amount is encroaching, it's more just the front entryway, correct?
Correct, the front entryway and that front wall is over, right, maybe 6 inches, 8 inches.
Right, so we're talking a 6-inch de minimis encroachment really for the front yard if we follow the prevailing front yard setback. So there were efforts to reduce and move the house and reconfigure it, correct?
Yes.
Any other questions from board members of this witness? Mark? Nothing? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gotta open it to public. Hold on, counsel, it has to be open to the public first, or do you do it all at the end, Mr. Chairman?
We'll take the witnesses, and then we'll get to the public
And the public call at the end? Okay.
comments,
thank you.
yes.
Every board's different, that's why I wanted to ask. Okay, before you get started, can you spell your name for board counsel in the record and give some background as to your education and your licenses?
Sure. My name is Paulo Dantas. First name is Paulo, Paulo. Last name is Dantas, Dantas. I graduated from New Jersey Institute of Technology in the year 2002. Have been licensed in New Jersey since 2007. Have testified in various boards in Union County, Essex County, and so on. Will be my first in Clark. And I think my license is up to date.
You think or we know?
We know.
Okay, thank you. If we could have him accepted as an expert in the field of architecture?
Yes. Any problem?
No, it's good.
Okay. So our project is located at 60 Ridge Road. We are proposing a single-family dwelling and also an accessory pool house, gazebo, covered area in towards the rear. Let me start with the plans.
And just for clarity, these are the same plans that are in the board members' packets. There's been no revisions or changes?
Actually, these are the new package.
So then these would have to be marked as an exhibit?
Yes.
Okay. So how many pages is the new set? 7. So this would be A2, council, and we'll just call it updated architectural elevations. And what's the date on there?
We have
Architectural plans and elevations. right?
March 28th.
I think that is the set we submitted. for the applicant.
We have a zoning application, a board application, so it's one of the applications that we submitted. It's these plans.
Right. Council, forget that. These are the sets. The board should have the sets that are dated March 28th, correct?
Yes.
2025.
These are the most up-to-date we have.
Yes.
Okay.
If you look in your upper left-hand, right-hand corner, there should be a revision date. You're looking at the site plan, look at the architectural drawings.
What's the date?
March 28th.
May 27th.
Yeah, you're looking at the site plan, I can tell from here. Look at the architectural drawing. The chairman has his out there. You have the old plans too.
Yeah. These are the same, hasn't changed.
Okay, we're good? Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll start on A200 of our architectural plan, which is the basement. What we have in the basement is we're gonna have open recreational areas. We're also gonna have a couple slab on grades, a bathroom, and then a storage areas and all our mechanicals that we eventually have for the home. Sheet A300. We created a formal foyer. Towards our right and our left, we have a formal dining room and living room. Towards the left side, we created a guest suite with a private bathroom and closet. And additionally, we did an office towards the rear of the back. To the right side, family room, kitchen, with an island has been proposed as an open area, open plan. And adjacent to that, we created not only a mudroom and a pantry, having accessibility to the garage with some storage adjacent to the garage itself. On our second floor, we provided 5 bedrooms, 5 full bathrooms, and a laundry. Master suite will include a bathroom itself with some walk-in closets. We're also looking to provide slightly small balcony facing towards the rear. The remaining bedrooms all will have a closet and a bathroom in itself. The layout is being proposed with the 2-story foyer and the family room to have almost like a breezeway, maintaining overlooking the 2-story family room and foyer, maintaining a visual connection and openness within the home. Our gazebo pool house area, we designed it not only to complement the main residence by using the same roof pitches, we'll see that on the elevations, also the trim and finishes. What we're looking to include is an outside barbecue area, covered, a seating area as well in the middle. No back wall, is all open in its entirety. And then the only enclosed elements will be just a full bathroom with a shower and a laundry room. This is all purposely just for the purpose of the pool. That's what we're looking to have it as. So our covered areas will be for shading the sun, and also we have also a barbecue area. Elevations. If I could just go to the rendering on page A100. Our architectural characteristics were defined as a traditional design with some modern proportions and details that were based on the client's design request. Our front facade centers on the masonry front porch with columns and a covered roof area, providing both visual focus and weather protection. The home is a clad primary in brick and with some fiber cement panels used to introduce some visual texture and scale variations. Our decorative brackets and trim accents the eaves, adding depth and shadow to enrich the facade. And overall, the proposed design balances the massing of this symmetry, various roof lines and materials to break down the scale in the building itself. This includes, as the same, let me just go to the A700 has the pool house. The pool house is also designed to complement also the main residence, similar materials, similar pitches, trim, and finishes. We have included some kind of window trims, details consistent with the principal dwelling, ensuring cohesive aesthetics, and also providing a visual rear yard composition with the view of the main residence adjacent to the properties. So we took it upon ourselves to make it all as one unit.
So I just want to back up a little bit. When you were charged with the applicant to design the house, is the house design, you mentioned several times, is reflective of what the applicant is looking for? Is this house intended to be resided in by the applicant?
Yes, and all the bedrooms and bathrooms that we included in the second floor actually needs to be there to accommodate for the family that he currently has.
So his current family size, number of children, et cetera.
We'll be occupying all those bedrooms.
Right. And then you also did, which is very common now, the downstairs ensuite. Is that also for guests, aging parents?
So ensuite is for guests like the parents, most likely, and then obviously he needs an office. And due to the children and all this, we have recreational areas, not only downstairs but also the living room. I think the living room is going to be optional if the kids are going to occupy that.
But again, looking at your design, you have the 2-story foyer, the 2-story, for lack of a better word, you described it, living room. So a lot of that calculation as to building coverage, since it goes strictly off roof coverage, isn't about size of rooms or number of bedrooms. It's really to have this architectural feature, as you described, this openness, this breezeway, light, right. And I believe you said to minimize any massing and bring some texture to the house, correct?
Correct. And also then in the back as well, the covered areas start breaking down the facades and the massive block that a house may have.
Okay. Now, just moving on, because you heard Mr. Chairman say when the engineer was complete, the concern with the accessory structure, right? So the accessory structure right now, your testimony is just the bathroom and the laundry area is enclosed, correct?
Yes.
And what's that breakdown of square footage?
Let me see. It's a 10 by 10 pretty much box,
Okay, well, I believe
100 square feet.
it's a little over it, like 178, does that make sense?
Just the bathroom?
No, bathroom and laundry.
Can I zoom in on this? Let me see. Oh, here it is. Okay, give me 1 second. 6 and 6 is 12. 6 and 12 plus another 10. So it's 12 by 10, so somewhere around 120.
So more accurate, around 120, okay? And that is the fully enclosed area, correct? And then the rest you said is open,
Yes,
the
there's no
back,
doorway, there's no doors, there's nothing.
no sliders, nothing that can close it in. There's no outside heat source, correct?
That's correct. I mean, we even protruding some of the bar area kind of already extending out of the actual footprint slightly.
Right, so a common concern you have with a lot of municipalities is the concern that a pool house could be turned into living space, and that's not what this is. This is not an apartment, it
No,
is.
that's not the intent, no.
Right, okay, and then you heard some testimony from the engineer that we could add a breezeway and connect it to the house. Obviously, that's not a favored position, because you want to keep that open and that architectural look, but can you explain to the board a little bit more about that?
So initially, when we started designing, we started also including the breezeway. We just felt the breezeway was just gonna add more roof to it, and we felt that at this point, given the just the 5 feet that we were just kind of coming to the board today for, I thought it was more feasible or more aesthetically pleasing not to have this whole roof kind of run across and to meet pool house or covered area.
Understood. Thank you.
Any questions from the board on the testimony of the architect? Other than I'm still concerned about the size of that structure. It does almost look like a mini house, but
A mini house with no walls on two sides.
there's a breezeway.
It's more just to cover you with a shelter from the sun, and that's the purpose of it. It's going to be more seasonal than anything else at this point. Instead of having all these umbrellas and all these things out there and having an open-end barbecue area and things like that. So we just like to throw a roof. It accommodates for people sitting there, for having kids being sheltered from the sun. That's pretty much it. And then the bathroom and the laundry is just so people do not tread water, to your home and things like that. And all the clothes and things already could be washed and put it away, towels and anything.
Any questions, board members? Or comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your testimony. And we'll
Before,
wrap all it up with the public speaking to each testimony when we finish.
no, I like it.
presentation.
It makes it easier because it's all together and then they hear everything. Where some towns call them up each witness and they start jumping ahead. No.
That's-
Like it, Mr. Chairman. So we are going to go ahead and call up the applicant just briefly. I'd like to call Mr. Michael Martinetti. He's already been sworn in.
How are you?
Spell your name for the record.
Michael, last name Martinetti, Martinetti.
Mr. Martinetti, you're the owner of the property
I am.
in question, correct?
Yes.
And you currently live in town, correct?
I do currently live in town, yes.
And where do you live now?
I live around the block.
Okay, you live over on Fairview?
Correct.
Right. And is it fair to say that you've lived here for a while?
I've been here for 5 years.
Okay. And a lot of your neighbors and so forth, seems to be Clark is a lot of in-ground swimming pools, correct?
Yes, 4 best friends within 4 blocks, and my mother lives 3 blocks away.
And this house that you had designed, this is for you and your family, correct?
That's correct.
You're not a builder, you're not a developer, you're not looking to flip it. This
No.
is for the Martinetti family.
Yes.
Right? And you heard some testimony from your architect that the bedroom count and so forth matches your family's needs, correct?
That's correct. It's actually undersized because we're expecting a 5th. So, just found that out a week ago.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Planning for the future.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, when you were designing the house, there were certain things that are your preference for your dream home, correct?
That's correct.
And outdoor living is one of those, correct?
That's correct. We're very much involved with outdoor space, and we're going to be hopefully selling our shore house to utilize this full time.
Right, and I believe when we were talking before, you told me your own background, being a former PE teacher, is very athletic in nature, correct?
That's correct.
And you wanted to have an outdoor space for your family.
That's correct.
Right. And you do know that Clark you can put basketball courts, other types of courts in, but this property doesn't really work for that, does it?
Not for what I'm looking to do, no.
Right.
My kids are involved in travel sports, and hopefully we'll continue to do that, and it's really just for them to be able to enjoy their lives growing up and through the township and things of that nature.
Right, and with the easement, I believe you said you still wanted to give them some activity that the whole family, multi-generational, could enjoy, and that was the pool, right?
That's correct.
And obviously now with soon-to-be 5, you wanted to have an outdoor area for children and guests to be able to use the bathroom when they get out of the pool.
Yeah, I have young children, 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, so it's really just a convenience of that and them not destroying the house, which they do a very good job at doing already.
Now, you're aware that the accessory structure ordinance here is 100 square feet, which is really just 10 by 10, correct?
I'm aware.
Which is a pretty, in today's world, modest shed, correct?
Yes.
But you heard your architect say you tried to make sure that the fully enclosed area was pretty close to that. It's at about 120 square feet, correct?
Correct.
And then the rest is just the covering over your outdoor kitchen and having some shade area, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any plans to enclose this?
No, it's really my kids still nap and down the shore the sun just beats on the house the entire time, and what I'm really looking to do is be able to have them, if they're going to nap, be outside. If they're with their friends, be outside. My parents live 3 blocks away. Other than my parents, my immediate family and I, there's really no connection. So it's not like I'm going to house somebody back there. It's really just for that intent. And we do entertain. So it's really just for that.
And now you heard your architect say they could do a breezeway, but that wasn't ideal when you were looking at it visually, correct?
Yeah, visually, I think it would make it look more like a hotel with having a breezeway just to an accessory outdoor space that I think would not look pleasant, especially if you're a neighbor. If that's something I had to do, it's not what I want to do. I'm willing to do it if that's what you feel is best for the neighborhood. But I just thought aesthetically it would look not the best, in my opinion.
And again, on the plans, and I know we didn't touch a lot on it with the engineering, and I'm sure your planner will, but you're providing robust landscaping and buffering there as well, correct?
Correct. I mean, ultimately, I have a real estate background, so everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to be mindful, because obviously I would love the approval, but I also want to be very much aware of the surrounding homes, and I don't want them to look into something that would be not aesthetically pleasing for them. So I'm trying to be as reasonable as I can with the circumstance that we have with what this lot provides us.
Thank you, Mr. Martinetti. Thank you.
Any questions of the applicant from the board?
I just have one. You said it's not a builder or developer for this purpose, for this house, or just in general?
Correct.
For this purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do build full transparency, but my main source of income is selling residential real estate.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
So, Mr. Dougherty, will you spell your name for the record, please?
Certainly. Last name is Dougherty, Dougherty. First name's Alex, professional planner, PP as well as AICP certified. My education's at a Rutgers Blaustein with a master's in city and regional planning, conservation development and redevelopment, certification in public policy. I testify in this capacity on a weekly and daily basis. I presented at the State Redevelopment Conference, League of Municipalities, several years, again this year as well. I'm also a municipal planner in Morris County for Dover during the day, and I do this basically full-time at night. I've never been before Clark. It's my first time. I've been accepted in every board as professional.
Mr. Chairman, we'd like to have him accepted as an expert in the in the subject of professional planning.
Yes, so accepted.
Thank you. So, Mr. Dougherty, you're familiar with the application and the property?
I am.
Okay. Can you please provide your comments as to the 3 bulk variances that are being sought here this evening?
Right, so to recap, not to belabor the board, we are here for block 38.02, lot 1201, known as 60 Ridge Road. We are in the R50 zone. We are seeking 3 variances this evening. We are looking at a minimum front yard setback of 48.2 feet being proposed, where 49.9 is the required. We have a maximum lot coverage, which is your building roof coverage areas, 15%. Is what's permitted, and we're at 19.3 proposed. And the big one on the ticket here, in my opinion, is the maximum accessory structure permitted of 100 square feet, and we're at 717. So we are for 3 variances. For this evening, I did prepare an exhibit packet for the board. Really just consists of maps and the survey where we can talk about the easement. I do think there's some critical components to discuss regarding the property, the size, the easements running through the property, and you know, kind of the responsibility of you know, a brand new development coming online in this neighborhood and in the community at large of Clark. But for purposes, it's just maps and photographs. We can orientate. What you're going to see here is other properties with large accessory structures visually, an abundance of pools, an abundance of well-mannered and well-kept homes, and again, that survey. So if it pleases the board, we'll pass it out.
So this would be Council A2. It consists of 4 pages, and I guess we'll just make it simple and call it a planner exhibit.
Works.
We should have, I think, enough copies. I think there's like 13 sets.
So the cover page, if you will, again, is 60 Ridge Road here in Clark Township, outlined in red, very, very large. The white squares, if you will, I'm sure the board is aware, that represents the lots within the area. So the red being the property in question. As you can see visually, it's fairly large, a lot larger than the surrounding residential lots throughout the neighborhoods. Take a look at the next slide. You'll see it's a little red pen towards the bottom of the page. Represents the property. It's vacant lot. What I like to point out is the makeup of the community at large. You see there's an abundance of pools. You know, when we look at just going north of the little red dot on Fairview Road, we can see the property here. Really nice pool. We can see the accessory structure or pool house, if you will, off to the side, to the right. If we kind of go to the left, look at Hillcrest and Charlotte Drive, we can see a beautiful property on the right on the corner there. Again, very large structure and then you can see the pool. Again, another large I would call it a pool house as well. You know, some of these properties do host similar amenities and build out in scope and scale. As the narrative presented before the board from my prior two colleagues. The next two slides here, the next page, we can see the red dot up in the upper left, again, vacant lot. What I want to point out is right on the corner here of Kennedy, that large patch of wilderness and the baseball field, there is a property here on the corner, and given the foliage from the top down, it's hard to tell, but there is a pool back there and a detached structure as well. You know, and that's really just the illustrative purposes that there are other larger detached structures in the areas featuring pools, and as we can see from this slide as well as the prior slide here, just an abundance of pools. You know, very family-oriented, you know, outdoor neighborhood makeup. The last slide here is that survey outlined in yellow being the easement question. I want to take a minute and talk about the property, because one of the variances here that we need to address here is that lot coverage, that building coverage, if you will. When we talk about this property, I want to note that the requirement for the R150 zone is 15,000 square feet. We're at 32,093 square feet and some change. So double what the minimum requirement is. And with that comes the minimum lot frontage, so left to right on the streetscape. 100 square feet, 100 linear feet is required. We're at 125. So we have an oversized lot, and we have an oversized lot by frontage. And with that, if you look at the survey, we have these two easements running right through the property. Now, we're building a brand-new home built to applicable codes, modern living arrangements, and consumer expectations. This is a brand-new premium product being built here in Clark, but it has these easements, and we have this wide lot. So when we look at your side yard setbacks, we're in compliance. We have 15 feet on one side. For both sides, really require 15, total of 30. We're in compliance with that. So what we have to do here, we could shrink the house, right, and kind of keep it to standard and just think about shaving off the 25 square feet and build a home that's really there. But then you would have that additional 15-foot yard setback, the 25, and your neighbor would have another 15, you know, setback. We'd have this large void. So we got to kind of elongate that, if you will, to kind of keep within, or you have that big voided pocket. So we elongate that. You don't want to just walk in your front door and walk right out the back door. There's got to be some depth to a house, but that depth causes an issue because of that easement. So everything's kind of, if you look at the design of the house, it's almost like tiered and stepped. It's short on the right, and it kind of gets a little bit longer in the back to add that depth element. We're trying to play within the box and be mindful from, you know, an architectural and engineering standpoint, you know, of the street makeout, the use of the property itself. So I would argue when we talk about this building coverage, we're trying to not cause a void in the public realm well, something feels like there's missing here. So we're trying to comply with that customary, you know, continuity, if you will, that 15-foot yard setback on one property, 15 on the next. That way there's not just that large void. So we're kind of elongating the structure, and then again, to have that depth here to make that modern living arrangements and consumer expectations of a home here, especially in a community such as Clark. We do trigger the lot coverage here when we talk about that lot coverage being roofed coverage. So we do have a house, but I think it's very much in conformance with some of the properties you are seeing by way of that exhibit. There are some larger homes in the area, you know, but by purposes of comparing this property, is it overbuilt? Is it too much for this site? And I would argue from a planning standpoint it's not, because we are substantially over on impervious coverage. So when we talk about building this site out, from a planning standpoint, we got to be mindful when we talk about the scope of the building. We're under FAR, which I think is important to note. But we're certainly under that impervious coverage. From a planning standpoint, when the properties get too much, you have too much asphalt, too much roof, you start to cause adverse effects on neighboring properties, stormwater, you know, runoffs and the likes of that. And residential neighborhoods we don't want them to feel like a commercial zone where it's just a sea of asphalt. Greenery is important. It's for the quality of life and the aesthetics and just the overall enjoyment of the property, again, and any negative adverse effects. So I want to just point out, though on paper the house may seem big, I think there's an inherent responsibility for anyone who develops a site to kind of fill in any voids and not disrupt that fabric of the neighborhood. But we have that rear yard setback, that front yard setback issue by virtue of a few inches. I would argue that again, as council stated, de minimis. It's imperceivable from the public realm. You're jogging down the street, you're riding your bike, you're in the car driving past, you're not gonna be like, wow, that house is so much further to the curb than anyone else. Again, we're talking a few inches here. So I would argue from a planning standpoint, we could argue this as a C1, that there is uniqueness to this property, some difficulties to the properties, and we call it a hardship, if you will. Certainly that front yard setback, we can argue is a hardship because we have that easement, so we can't really bring that too far back. Uniquely, I would argue that the width of this lot is a hardship in itself. We don't want to disrupt the character and charm of the neighborhood, and given the extra 25-foot in width, we have to kind of start to fill that void a little bit. But again, we don't want to walk in the front door and just walk right out the back door. We're trying to add that depth, so we are picking up that lot coverage. But nonetheless, I could also argue with C2, the benefits of this application as a whole substantially outweighing any detriment, and that's the Poland case here. But we're going to talk about the big ticket elephant in the room here is that building accessory structure. Again, 717 is what we're asking the board to look upon favorably, knowing the maximum accessory structure is 100 square feet. And I would just like to point out, when we talk about this, not to deceive the board, we talked about the idea of doing a breezeway. That's silly. It doesn't look good aesthetically. I don't think we can advance purpose side of the municipal land use law for a creative, desirable visual environment. I think it's disingenuous. This is why it's not here before the board. But for purposes of what can be here, I want to point out we can do a detached garage at 500 square feet. That's 500. We can do a gazebo at 100 square feet. And we can do a detached shed, if you will, at 100. So we're at 700 right there. Yes, we're asking for it to move on an additional 17 square feet. But what I'd like to point out, though, is when we look at this structure, and the architect is talented, I've worked with him in the past, this is a modern take on a gazebo, or what's the word I'm looking, pergola. Pergola is just a wooden structure that kind of open an area, you kind of put some curtains over it. This is more of a modern spin on that pergola, where it's really just a roof overhang, as the architect and the engineer and the council testified to, and the applicant, it really is open. It's to cover the grill, it's to cover, add some shade. We're putting, roughly 100 square foot for a bathroom and some laundry, so the pool equipment and towels and so forth can get washed and stay there. Again, it's servicing the pool. And the minute, as you heard, the applicant is an active, a retired gym teacher. Every time I talk to him, I'm prepping for the call, he's out and about, active. This is, a growing family, as you heard, where we can certainly do pickleball and all the other permitted uses by courts that aren't really regulated by how big these courts can be by your definitions. And looking at accessory structures, when we talk about the recreation for game courts, it just says 25% of the rear yard area. Now there's some other language here, not foregoing coverage restrictions for the overall improvements and maximum coverage permitted in that particular zone, but 25% of a rear yard can be a lot bigger than 100 square feet or even 717 square feet. But as you heard the applicant state, we're going to find a use that is multi-generational, stands the test of time. Who doesn't like swimming? Who doesn't like lounging around a pool? But if you put a basketball court in there, you better like basketball for the rest of your life. If you put a tennis court back there, your kids or your next generation kids, they hopefully need to be avid tennis players. A pool is that kind of test of time, activity use that brings the family together, that doesn't really isolate one individual per se. And so the pool, I think, is a better fit here. But again, the pergola aspect here, we could keep the bathroom and the laundry room, tighten it up, and do a pergola. Throw a curtain over there to add that shade and cover the grill. Is that really going to work? Is that going to be functional to the kind of investment that you're seeing here? I don't think so. But I'd like to point out again, the detached garage, that gazebo, the accessory structure, they could all be right next to each other, generally in the same vicinity here, and be at 700 square feet. We're asking for 717. So I say that not to hair split or to deceive the board, but when we talk about the massing scale and the size of the structure being located in the general area, I would argue that sound planning is rooted in zoning. This wouldn't be atypical to see 700 square feet generally off of a house, because again, that's a detached garage of 500, that's a gazebo of 100, that's a shed of another 100. So you could put them all next to each other if you would. So to see 700 square feet of massing off of a house, I would argue is not something that hasn't been contemplated in the zone when we wrote this ordinance. But nonetheless, we are here for that relief. It's the benefits as a whole outweighing any substantial detriment. We have a building that is going to be built to all applicable building codes, fire codes, regulation, a modern house, if you will. I would argue advances purpose A of the general welfare of the community. This is a modern living arrangement. I would also argue that we are advancing purpose C. We're not asking for any relief related to, the bulk dimension, side yard, rear yard. We are asking for that front. I don't think it's going to impede any light, air, and adequate space. So I would say we are advancing purpose C of the municipal land use law. Purpose E, we are here, appropriate densities and appropriate location. This is a detached single-family home in a single-family neighborhood, and I think it's very appropriate here. I would also argue that we are advancing purpose G, provides sufficient space in appropriate locations, certainly when we talk about the lot size here. I would also argue that we are advancing purpose I for a desirable visual environment here. As you see the renderings here, this is a beautiful home, a modern home. It's a positive investment to the site, but it's also a positive investment to the neighborhood and the community at large. And I would also argue that we're advancing purpose M to make more efficient use of land on vacant property. So this is a large void in the residential neighborhood, and we're trying to fill that void with something tasteful and respectful of the community. And again, I really want to emphasize, we are asking for that building coverage, but our lot is a lot longer, and we're trying to make it cohesive and keep that continuity. From a planning standpoint, given this is a brand new build out, it's going to be built with all applicable modern best practice from engineering. Like I said, old building codes. This is modern living arrangement, consumer expectations. I do not see any negative here. Any negative effects that the board may feel by this additional 717 square feet of accessory structure, by the massing and the scale, I think we can do a great job hedging that and planting not to cause a visual void, if you will, or a nuisance. But respects to the property itself, I do want to emphasize that a lot of our variances here do relate to the property in question. That's the accessory structure. Again, we can have 3 permitted accessory uses on site at once that would bring us to 700 square feet. So with that, I think we have a down-the-middle application. I don't think there's anything to, deceive the board here, breezeways, causeways, and the likes of that. From a planning standpoint, I think it's a great application and a great investment in the neighborhood and the community. I see no negative effects, and I think the purpose of the C2 balance has been met, and approval would otherwise be warranted.
Mr. Dougherty, before you completely conclude, I just have a couple follow-up questions for you.
Yes.
One is, in your exhibit package with your aerials, you point out a couple other properties that are more recent new construction or updates or additions, correct?
Yeah, we have some additional, properties, correct.
And would it be fair to say, when you look at several of those lots, there's a lot of pavers or concrete that's going really almost all the way back to the rear yard line, correct?
Yes.
Right. Where this application, the applicant, even though with the constraints, with the easement and the L-shaped of the lot, made it a point to keep the pool and everything up close to the house, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I believe the engineer testified that just from the edge of the pool, or you're talking there's minimum of 50 feet just going back to the property line, maybe more, correct?
I'm seeing 52.3 from the edge of the pool and 49.6 from the back of the pool house. Proposed location, yeah.
And you also discussed with the client the landscaping, and I know we didn't really go probably in as much detail as we should have with the engineer, but the site plan does show some landscaping proposed, correct?
Correct. I think when we talk about this property, just seeing the architectural, the proposed layout, this is not where this applicant hopes to stop. This, landscaping is certainly on the agenda.
And also just kind of going back to how the house has been spatially designed to help fill the lot, correct?
Correct. Again, we have that elongated frontage of 125 or 100 is required, and as you can see, we are a large lot in the area, so it'd almost be criminal not to elongate that house, because you would have such a void there.
Right, and with voids tend to come in the world of planning and zoning, things that probably should not.
Subdivisions and requests, yeah, to fill that void. I see it a lot in my line of work. You know, a lot of people ask for the most tight lot because there's a 75-foot void there and 100 is required. So I think this really does hedge against any future requests down the road.
And then just going back with Clark's ordinance for lot coverage, again, that is the covered roof areas, correct?
Correct.
And you heard the architect discuss the design of the house, how when you go into the house, you have that just big, open.
It's an impressive house. It's certainly, you know, modern living arrangements and, you know, especially, you know, for a brand new build, 2026, 2027. Yeah.
So again, that two-story foyer, the big open cathedral living room area, correct, which is providing some of that additional roofed area as well as the rear.
Yeah, that open floor plan concept, yeah.
So it's not so much about habitable living space, but it's more about that roof coverage, correct?
Correct, yes. Again, we are under that FAR, that floor area ratio as well.
And we're well under on lot coverage overall, correct?
Yes, we are. Lot coverage is 50%, impervious coverage is what's allowed, and we're at 38.2. So certainly, again, when we look at a balance here, I don't think we're overdeveloping this property with that additional lot, building roof coverage component here. The property could certainly allow for more impervious surfaces.
Thank you.
The overall size of the lot.
Correct, and again, I do think the house is very much palatable.
Like part, it was
Yeah, correct. So we can trade off larger driveways and patios, you know, more concrete, or, you know, a little bit of a larger roof structure or square footage, if you will, on a balance here. But overall, the site, I think, is breathable and is underdeveloped by way of the ordinance.
And it also made sense to tuck that pool in rather than try to put a pool over in that L-shaped portion, right?
That's quite of a walk, but again, yeah, you have it close, you have the patio, you know what I mean? Again, it's sitting right straddling that easement lines for the utilities and sewer there. So, you know, I think it's well designed for given some of the limitations here.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, just so I understand, if there was a breezeway going to the pool house, this wouldn't be an issue?
The accessory structure size wouldn't be an issue. You'd still have the roof coverage issue, and then I would argue that you're under on a pervious surface. And given it would connect to the house, the principal structure needs that 15-foot setback. This accessory structure has the 10, so you'd have that side yard setback. We would lose one and pick up another, but I really want to emphasize the pergola concept. Like, the pergola has the wood there, and they have the curtains and the shade. This is a more modern take on a pergola, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions? Doug, anything?
I did have one question.
Certainly.
Just about the building lot coverage. Are there any potential, I guess, flooding issues that might arise because of that?
I would argue no, because when we look at, you know, the house, first off, has to be built to applicable design code and engineering best practices, so your leaders aren't just discharging in the yard and that kind of stuff. But for purposes of, you know, negative adverse effects, I really want to emphasize when we talk about the impervious coverage here, 50% is what's allowed. We're at 38.2. So yeah, the building's bigger, but we're not maximizing the impervious surfaces. So I think there's a balance to be had, and that's that C2.
And like the planner said, obviously, if this were to be approved, it goes to your building department. Grading plan has to be done. It has to comply with all current codes. So if anything, with new construction, you get better adherence to grading and drainage and improving issues.
Thank you.
Trying to understand the points 1 and 3 here, where you indicate where no variances are required for building coverage?
We have a building coverage variance, yes.
Yeah, that's the 19.3 that you're looking for.
Correct, and 15 is allowed, the permitted.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand the wording in number 1 and number 3 of the arguments.
So with the building coverage,
The applicant's plan and does not require any building coverage variance. Number one says the same thing. I was just trying to understand.
we require building coverage. The roof, if you will, at 19,
Yeah.
15. And I'd like to argue that because we have a longer lot, we're trying to make sure there's no void and have that depth there. But for purposes, we are asking for 3 variances: the front yard setback, just by a few inches, and the building coverage, 19% versus 15, accessory structure at 717, where 100 is there. And again, my rationale is 500 for a detached garage, 100 for gazebo, 100 for a shed. We could all put them in the same location, 700 square feet of massing. And the take on this is more of a modern pergola, if you will. It's open up on 3 sides.
The rendition, the picture makes that pool house look almost like another dwelling. Maybe if the peak could be lower, or, I don't know, it just looks like it overtakes and could be almost a whole house structure.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is where sometimes elevations help and sometimes they hurt, right? Because every board wants to see the elevation. You heard the architect say they tried to match the roof line to match the house.
understand, right.
Like you said, Mr. Chairman, almost like a mini house, even though
Right.
it's not a house. But certainly, the applicant would have no problem lowering the roof line if that is a concern. We're not over on accessory height, as you're aware, but if the board felt that lowered the mass, we could certainly lower the roof line. Use the microphone.
Right.
The intention was just aesthetically. It was not to increase the volumes. A lot of these pitches match each other throughout not only the principal roof, but also along with the second floor sheds.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I just have a question. Was there any thought to going smaller on the accessory structure, let's say just down to, I guess, the bar area, and then just have like an open area? Was there any other thought to that, to bring it closer to the 100 wired? Or the maximum, yeah.
To be honest with you, I think if we take off the roof and we do a pergola, I think we're right at 100, because we're at 100 and change for the laundry and the restroom. The idea is to have a fully shaded, it's open aired. I mean, I don't know how much smaller it can get. It's 3 sides of the structure is wide open. You know what I mean?
I think that the structure itself that gets enclosed is the pool area, where the bathroom and the laundry area is. But then everything else is, just imagine like 4 posts with a roof on top of it, and then the bar just needs, is wrapping around. So there's no walls intended in that area. So that middle portion that we're looking, where that area here in the middle, I don't know if you could see it, but that middle part here, it's all open. It doesn't have a wall in the back or in the front of it. Exactly. That's just a fireplace, just to electrical, just to give it, aesthetic look. But there's no
It does
intent.
appear like a wall between the barbecue area and the sitting area in
So
the
there's-
rendition.
So there's, maybe I could go to my architect. Is my architect still
Yeah,
open?
you're right here.
Okay. So this current area here is, I just have the barbecue area wrapping around like a U shape, correct? The back area is just gonna give us to put whatever there's shelving and things like that. This current place right here where the couches are situated, it's just gonna be a small fireplace with electrical fireplace, just to give the aesthetics of it. But as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 columns or in the front, small wall here, and then a fireplace in the center. So the intent is not to really close it, it's more just to accommodate to whatever activity or purpose is using.
I mean, it looks great. Just, the thing is, I'm just looking at the intent of the codes. I think they're trying to make structures like this a little more modest, whereas this, it just, I mean, from 100 to 700, I think. Was there any thought to maybe trying to even maybe half that or anything along those lines?
So when we try to do these things is, so this is not the first time we do these structures, right, for accessories in the pools. So when we try to do these things is we try to give it almost like you buy those things at Costco with the 4 posts. You cover it up, and then you could have whatever fabrication around in the concrete, and it gets built. That's your barbecue area. That fireplace, we can always remove it, but that just becomes an area that's covered. Me personally, as previous happenings, we buy those canopies. Those canopies get, turned down. So something that is built more framed out is more permanent, more stable through wind, to all these things. The purpose of the laundry room and the bathroom also comes into play, and that's just to have not people going into the house for the purpose of we're having a birthday party for the kids, everybody's there, and then they're not going through the house to do that. So a lot of these spaces, with the intent, can I shrink it smaller? With these spaces, it's just more for the accommodation of the pool and outdoor living area, nothing else.
I would add, the bathroom, that actual 4 walls is 178 square feet. We pinch it in, make it 100, certainly. The rest of that,
Mr. Dougherty, the architect confirmed it was more 120.
okay, 120 square feet. But for purposes of what remains, that is increasing to that 117, we could take that roof line down, and then we can just every year put up a big plastic, tent that we get in serve the same purpose. That's distasteful. It's not appropriate. It's not a permanent structure. We're trying to find that balance, and that's why we need to make the comparison of a 500 square foot allowable detached garage, the 100 square foot for the gazebo, which is its own little structure, and a 100 square foot addition for that accessory shed, if you will. We're going to put them all right next to each other, and it's 700 square feet, and we're right on balance with that. Again, I just really want to emphasize the intent of the ordinance, 100 square foot accessory structure. We don't want to create these, independent accessory dwelling units or apartments. Try to keep them modest in size. I think the intent here, when we talk about the 3 walls being open aired, is so we can ensure there will never be a dwelling unit here. There will never be 4 fully enclosed walls in this area. It's just more to provide a product that's complementary to the primary structure from an architectural standpoint, without kind of taking away from that by way of a pergola or putting a tent up every year to provide shade out there.
Any other questions? All right, then, do you have any other witnesses at this point?
No, is what I would ask is after we hear from members of the public, if there are any.
That's what
then I would reserve my right to do a summary, please.
Fine, do we have any comments or questions from the public? No? All right. Any statements in favor of the application? I see a few members. Do you have any statements in favor? Or I was also going to ask if against the application.
I don't. I came here to hear what the applicant was looking for. Obviously, spent a great amount of time and energy to put this together. I really don't have any questions for or against, unless someone's going to tell someone they can and cannot do on their property. The board sees fit. It's a beautiful home, which sounds reasonable. I just hope that there's going to be no additional work on Christmas Eve. That would be good for you.
I'm so sorry. We're going to need to have you come forward and sort of repeat that on the mic. If you'd be so kind. Right. And we're going to have to swear you in as well.
Wonderful.
You could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
May you please state your name and spell it for us?
Anthony Curcio, Anthony, Curcio, 32 Kennedy Drive. As I was saying, I'm not here for or against. I wanted to understand what was going on, as I did receive a notice within 200 feet of the property. And as I said, I'm not here to sell anyone what they can and cannot do with their property. I wanted to understand what the property was going to look like and what the scuttlebutt was as far as the application and the variances. So I'm just here as an observer, and I have nothing to say for or against anything, okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your participation. All right, closing statements?
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out how to use scuttlebutt in my summary. Again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we're here tonight on the application of Mr. Martinetti so that the Martinettis can build what they see as their forever home here in Clark. You heard him say he's currently a resident here. He lives on Fairview Avenue. He's got a rather large family and is apparently expecting another one. And with this lot, most people think bigger is better, right? It's a big lot. I can do all this stuff with it. But then when he acquired the lot and it had the easement constraints on it and some other issues, he found out that big lot wasn't exactly what he had thought it was, right? So you heard there has been a lot of care. This application has been in the works for over 2 years. It wasn't just thrown together. It wasn't just picking out an architectural plan out of a book. It was actually designed around the easements. It was designed around the constraints of the lot, and it was designed to complement the lot. So yes, we're here for 3 variances, and you've heard the word de minimis used several times. And as an attorney who's done land use for over 30 years, I agree. I think the front yard variance is probably the easiest variance for the board because it really is de minimis. We're talking about 6 inches at the heart of it, and I think the board can understand with the easement in the back, we need to kind of be in that area. And it's not for a living space, it's for architectural design and features of the house. So you don't have some of these houses that we've all seen built here in Clark and Westfield and Springfield that are just huge masses of a home with no real character. The second variance is the roofed area, what you guys call lot coverage, which is building coverage in essence. And you heard what's driving that roof coverage, and that is that nice 2-story open foyer, cathedral ceiling living room to give that openness to the house, to give it some depth, as well as the rear enclosed patio area off the rear of the home, and then of course the accessory structure. As far as what the planner testified to, I'm not hearing from the board, and I could be wrong, as much concern with the building coverage aspect because we are well under on FAR, and we're well under on maximum coverage, and everything has been tightly put together on this lot in one area. So we are really respectful of not only the fact that we have the easement, but of the neighbors. No trying to put anything on the other side of the easement, like a gazebo or structure over there, and not utilizing that L piece, which would then be behind 2 homes, and that really didn't make a lot of sense. So in a lot of ways, that L piece helps maybe for lot size, but otherwise, it's not really helping the applicant tremendously. So what we're left with is the accessory structure. The accessory structure is that modern take of a pergola, right? We all know what they look like. They sell them Costco, Amazon, you name them. A lot of people buy them and put them up, and they don't even come here to the board to get approvals because, they don't know, And I'm sure you guys can drive around your own neighborhoods and see plenty of them because when we did aerials, we saw a lot of accessory structures, as you saw on the aerial plans that were provided. The difference here is the applicant was thinking forward. And by thinking forward, they were saying, listen, really what we're actually enclosing is the bathroom, what we're calling laundry and storage area. That's where you keep your pool toys. You got 5 kids, you got pool noodles, rafts, floats, towels, and a bathroom to be able to use. Other than that, what you see is an open seating area. You heard the applicant indicate, or should I say the architect indicate, that if the board was concerned with massing, they can lower the roof line. We certainly have no problem doing that. We can substantially lower the roof line, which means when those arborvitaes grow, you wouldn't even know there's an accessory structure back there. That's not an issue. We can take out the decorative fireplace, although, again, part of the argument there was it did just kind of fill that void since it is open and you can see straight through it. But we can take that out to make it more open. And you heard that that little kitchen area, which is really your barbecue, grill, etc., I think most people would relate that it's really nice to have a covering over your outdoor kitchen equipment to protect it from weather and snow, because they last longer. Because let's be honest, anything you put outside has a limited lifespan. This is not fully enclosed. It doesn't have the ability to close it up, lock it, sliders, any of those things that you see on some of these more elaborate pool-like structures. We just didn't feel like the breezeway made sense. I mean, if the board was more apt to want the breezeway, we can do it. It does eliminate the concern about this being an accessory structure, and then it leaves us with just a side yard setback for about half of the length of the structure, because we do have that L-shaped. And we don't have a problem with that if that's where the board was leaning towards. I would ask that when the board votes tonight, if possible, council and Mr. Chairman, if they vote on each variance separately rather than a whole. So if we come up with one issue, you know, we can still kind of see where things are going. One of the things that I can say in working with the client and this team is this wasn't even the first version that we submitted. This has been a project that's been over 2 years in the making, which when you think about it, for your primary residential house, that's a long time. You know, when they bought and they moved in on Fairview and they had the opportunity to buy the property over here, the goal was, this is gonna be our forever home. This is gonna be where we raise our kids and they go to school. So the applicant was willing to take time and patience to design it, to have it make sense, and not just do cookie cutter, apologies, or some mass, you know, design that really wouldn't suit the neighborhood. And we hope, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that you all take that into consideration when you vote this evening. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from board members?
Yeah, I'll just comment. From my opinion is, so my focus when I saw this application was not on the accessory building or the, like you said, it is the manifest, the front setback. It was the 19.3%, the 1,400 square feet of overage above the 15% allowed. Because when I looked at it, I said, all right, you've got a lot. That is twice, more than twice, the size of the standard minimum required 15,000. So by definition, by math, the allowable 15% is twice that much, 4,800. You're at 6,200, so 1,400 square feet over. So that was my initial thinking coming in, and I think we all agree it is a massive house. It's a big house, and my opinion would have been, this belongs on an acre lot. It just does. It doesn't really fit in with the other homes. Most of them are about 2,600 square feet in the area. But I was on the fence because it is very tasteful. It is a very nice looking house, and we talk a little about the accessory building. I don't think you could have an accessory building for a pool house that's 200 square feet that's gonna look right? It'll just look like a little rinky-dink shack that you put up there. Your point, you buy a pergola from Costco, it's not going to look right. So I think on this property, I think everything feels nice. It was done tastefully, and it feels okay to me. I just wanted everyone to understand where I was coming from on the kind of initial application, and I would have put a fair amount of weight on the public coming here, the neighbors who have to live there. And I think the applicant pointed that out, is that he considered that. Whether he really did or not, only he knows, but from not having neighbors here to have a problem with this application, that kind of sways me from the fence to a side that I'm inclined to likely not have an issue with these variances, certainly not the other two.
Thank you.
May I have a motion, and we'll vote on each item separately. So first, may I have a motion on the accepting the minimum front yard setback at the 49.9%.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mark Hayden,
Second.
second, John Dwyer. Roll call, Madam Chair, Madam Secretary.
Yes.
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 Yes. On the second requirement regarding the the maximum lot coverage permitted, and with 19.3 proposed, and what's permitted is 15%. Have a motion on that item?
Make the motion to accept that motion for lot coverage.
Lot coverage. Have a second?
I'll second it.
Take it, Mark.
Okay, Mark Hayden,
Mark
second.
Hayden seconds it.
Okay, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, on the third variance, the accessory structure, what is permitted is 100 square feet, and what is being proposed is 717 feet. Can I have a motion on that ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call?
Yes.
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 No.
I'm a no also. I would like to see something done with that extra structure, whether lowering the roof line or some other, to work that out with the building department. So we need another motion on that. What would be the proper way to handle that? I'll ask the attorney.
Yeah.
To carry this and set another date, or no?
No, it wouldn't be carried to another day. They made a motion to accept the accessory structure the way it was, and it passed because it was 4-2.
Oh, I see.
So now, procedurally, can't really go back.
Right.
But is what I can tell Mr. Chairman, because he is a resident, and, you know, he's going to be here, that we'll certainly look at lowering that roof line. But the motion did pass with it the way it is. Okay, but we will look at lowering that. You heard the applicant say he doesn't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
So we'll make that roof line smaller.
Okay. Sure.
Yes. It doesn't matter if it's already approved, but you'll work to lower it, right? And you'll make the massing less. His concern was that height, right? Okay. I mean, it's up to you. Are you good with that? If it will, just to make we can stipulate, if you want to add it to the resolution, Counselor, that we will lower the roof line. So it won't be the roof line that you see now, but the architect's saying he's just got to check his pitches on the 3 by 12. So we can't say exactly it'll be 3 feet, 4 feet, but we will lower it. Okay?
Thank you.
It'll be noticeable. You heard it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Presentation and everyone that participated. Madam Secretary, is there any other, we're going to,
Yeah. That's my server.
Janet, are we going to talk about the motion, resolution? Okay. We have a resolution on our property at
Grouse
the
Lane?
address,
Was it 2 Grouse Lane or something?
2 Grouse. All right. Do you want to read the resolution? Sure. We'll then vote on it.
Whereas pursuant to the applicable provisions of the Township Code, herein defined as the Code of the Township of Clark, Chapter 195, Land Use and Development, an application has been submitted to the Township of Clark Zoning Board, the Board, by Steve and Elizabeth O'Laughlin, the applicant, for C variances to construct an in-ground pool and related equipment at the property identified as Block 40, Lot 43.09, also known as 2 Grouse Lane, in the Township of Clark and situated in the R-150 zone district, the property. And whereas the application reviewed by the board included the following plans and/or reports: description, site plan, pool site, O'Laughlin Residence, prepared by Mark J. Mantilla, PE, PLS, MJM, surveying and engineering, Sparta, New Jersey, and survey of property, lot 43.09, block 40, Township of Clark, County of Union, New Jersey. Whereas the following exhibits were presented at the hearing and considered by the board: property photographs, A-1, area map and photos of residential pool locations, A-2. Whereas the applicant is requesting the following variances: front yard setback, section 195-124-11, swimming pool front yard, section 195-123E3, and swimming pool front yard, section 195-210A. For each of those, beginning with the front yard setback, the requirement is 40 feet for the pool, and the proposed is 11 for the swimming pool front yard, section 195. It's not permitted, and the proposal is to put in the front yard. And for the swimming pool front yard, section 195-210, it's not permitted, and the proposal is for the front yard. Whereas the applicant provided notice of the public hearing pursuant to and in full satisfaction of NJSA 40:55D-12. And whereas the board took action on this application at its public meeting of September 16, 2025, this resolution constitutes a memorialization of that action in accordance with NJSA 40:55D-10G. Whereas the board, after reviewing the evidence presented, as well as considering the testimony presented, makes the following findings of fact. First, Mr. James M. Forst, Esquire, represented the applicant and presented the application. He explained that the applicant needs variance approval for the location of a proposed swimming pool on a residential lot. Second, the board attorney explained to the board that there are 2 contradicting provisions in the ordinance regarding the permitted location and setbacks required for residential pools on corner lots with 2 front yards. The board is being asked to approve any variances it deems appropriate to permit the applicant to proceed with the construction of the pool as presented. Third, Ms. Elizabeth O'Laughlin, owner and applicant, was sworn and testified. She testified that she lives at the property with her husband and 3 children. The house fronts on 2 streets, one on which is a dead-end street, and the property backs to the Garden State Parkway. She presented Exhibit A-1, photographs of the property, and identified the location of the home and driveway, as well as the significant wooded area to the rear of the home and at the end of Partridge Run. She also presented Exhibit A-2, area map and photos of residential pool locations. She testified that there are 31 houses in the neighborhood, and 14 of them have pools, including the neighbors to her sides. There's also another home with a corner lot and pool in the same location as she is proposing, but that street is not a dead-end street. It is the main entrance drive to the neighborhood, a much busier street. Fourth, Ms. O'Laughlin testified that they worked on the location of the pool to be at least 10 feet from the property line. It is also the area with most sun and where it is set back and separate from the patio for safety. The pool will be in its own section of the yard and leave safe areas for play outside of the pool. She testified that she discussed the pool with the neighbors and no one objected. Fifth, Mr. Jerome Gouldy, a representative of Anthony and Sylvan, the pool company, with many years of experience in pool installation, was sworn and testified. He testified that an 18-foot by 35-foot unit swimming pool with jacuzzi was proposed. He testified that this is the best location for the pool. There is an existing drainage structure behind the house that they did not want to disturb, and the pool, with a small retaining wall, will fit in the location proposed and leave a flat area of the yard for the patio and play area. He testified that the plans were prepared by a professional engineer that works for the company and that they would comply with all building codes. Sixth, the board advised the applicant that any approval would be conditioned on full building department review, including drainage, and that the applicant would need to comply with any changes requested by the building department. The applicant agreed. Seventh, the board asked about a safety fence, and the applicant testified that a 54-inch high aluminum fence with 4-inch separation would be installed. 4 feet is the minimum required, but they will go to 54 inches and will have a locking gate. The applicant also testified that they would provide landscaping on the Partridge Run side of the pool for privacy. Eighth, Mr. Forrest explained that the applicant requests approval under NJSA 40:55D-70 C1 and C2 because the corner lot creates a hardship and the proposed location is a better alternative than where it would be permitted. Ninth, the board voted to approve the application with the conditions discussed at the hearing. Conclusions of law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township of Clark Zoning Board, based on the above findings of fact, makes the following conclusions. First, the board finds and concludes that the variances for a residential swimming pool in a front yard or front yard setback can be granted under NJSA 40:55D-70 C1 hardship and C2 better planning alternative. The property is a corner lot with 2 frontages under the ordinance, but the pool will be located on the yard that functions as the second yard of the home. The applicant established through the testimony that swimming pools are customary in the neighborhood, and indeed another property in the neighborhood, located on a corner lot, also has a pool in the technical front yard. There has not been any detrimental impact from that pool. The applicant is complying with what would be the side yard setback requirements for this accessory structure. The applicant has also set the pool as far back as possible so it is as near to the rear yard line as possible. There are mature trees to the rear of the property, and Partridge Run is a dead-end street with very little traffic. The applicant has agreed to provide landscaping between the pool and the street and has established that placing the pool in the rear yard would not be practical because it would be too close to the house and prevent other uses of the yard and conflict with existing drainage structures. Second, the board finds and concludes that there are no negatives, only positives to the granting of the variances requested, and that the benefits of these deviations substantially outweigh any detriments that may result from the granting of this relief. The board finds and concludes that the relief requested can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially impairing the intent and purpose of the municipal land use law, the zone plan and zoning ordinance. The board therefore concludes that the variances requested can be granted subject to the conditions contained herein. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Zoning Board of the Township of Clark this 27th day of October 2025 that the board hereby memorializes by the adoption of this resolution the action taken by the board on September 16, 2025 granting the applicant's request for C variances as more particularly set forth above, subject, however, to the following conditions. First, the applicant shall install landscaping between the pool and Partridge Run. Second, the plans are subject to review by the construction official and building department, and the applicant shall comply with all changes requested by same, including any additional drainage measures requested. Third, the applicant shall construct the improvements in compliance with the testimony provided at the hearing. This approval is only for variances explicitly stated herein. The construction of improvements at the property must comply with all other applicable ordinances of the township and all building department requirements. Fourth, the applicant shall pay all taxes, fees, and required escrow deposits that may be due and owing prior to the issuance of any building permits. Fifth, as provided in Section 195-35 of the Township Code, the variances granted by the board shall expire 1 year from the date of the adoption's resolution of approval unless construction has commenced or an extension has been granted by this board. Sixth, the applicant shall be required to obtain any and all approvals, licenses, and permits required by any other board, agency, or entity having jurisdiction over the application over the property. Seventh, the applicant shall publish notice of this approval and provide a copy of same to the board secretary for board's records. Be it further resolved that all representations, commitments, and agreements made by the applicant or his or her representatives at the hearing in this matter or contained in any document, plat, sketch, or submission submitted to the board at any time prior to this approval, including notes contained in original or revised submissions, are hereby incorporated into this resolution by reference. B and the same is hereby granted. So that's the resolution. I think we just need your signature upon a motion in a second.
We'll then get a motion to approve. Of course, does anyone have any questions about the resolution or what was contained?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Anything else you have, Janet? I would mention that Art has already submitted something to the council regarding the discrepancy that we had last meeting on the 100 feet for an exterior shed. And I think that is being recommended to...
We submitted a while ago, I don't remember how long ago that was, I told you, but
Yeah,
it goes through a couple readings, right?
right.
Yeah. Somehow, there was a lot of duplicates. So they took the new one out. Like discussed, accessory structures used to be 200 square feet. In our ordinance now, it's 100 square feet. We don't want it to be able to be 200, as it was originally. So all that and many other things are being changed, going back to the original.
Right, and we did discuss that at the meeting on the grouse. So it's being attempted to be remedied, to be less confusing. Right now, it's with the town council to approve it. So, all right. If there is no other discussions or questions for the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn?
Second?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry. Aye.
Aye.
I was waiting for the roll call.